Hi, Connie.
Hi, Adam. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm okay.
All right, good evening, everyone. Well, it's 6 o'clock, so I think we should start promptly. I know that Leonard Kimball mentioned that he just shot an email out saying that he was unavailable. I don't know if anyone else, if we're waiting on anyone else in the waiting room. Anyone else there, Adam?
No one in the waiting room right now, although I am expecting a few more people, but I'll let him in as soon as I see him.
Yeah, all right, we'll give it a minute. We'll give it a minute then.
I know Pam will be here.
Okay. I'm going to send her out a let's join, please text.
So, Adam, did you order up another 3,000 gallons of hand sanitizer from the DOE today?
You know, I really wanted to, but Billy said it would not go well if I did. So I resisted the urge.
Then he's going to put in a purchase order for a giant storage facility, too.
Exactly. That'll go along with it.
Yeah.
Can we use up what we have on hand first?
Well, I think we need to. We've got more hand sanitizer than we know what to do with.
In these gallon jugs that we can't, they're not really usable, and can't find a way to get them in a bottle that meets the fire code. So,
and they smell bad too, right, Adam? Is that the same stuff?
I don't know. I haven't smelled those ones.
We've got some that really stink. I mean,
what are you guys talking about?
Hand sanitizer. The DOE sent out a note, order up your hand sanitizer. And we must have, no kidding, like 3,000 gallons left from the last year.
And that's every district. I think the DOE made some deals with hand sanitizing companies. I think they made some backdoor promises. And when school districts are saying, no thanks, you deal with that now.
You store it, you take care of it. You don't have anything.
We'll let you know. Absolutely. All right. So welcome, everyone, to the August 3rd meeting of the Edward Little High School Building Committee. Like I said, I know Mr. Kimball couldn't join this evening, but thank you all for joining. So welcome. Hope your summer is going really well. Yes, I'm sitting out in a field. It's the only place I had service out near. We're out near the Tacoma Lake. So ironically enough, I work for RSU4, and so my central office building is right here to my right, and my computer hooks up to the wireless. So it's working. It's working really well. So welcome. I hope you're having a great summer, everybody. But with that, let's kick it off. So welcome. So Mark, I'm going to defer to you, or whoever we want to defer to get the agenda rolling.
All right. Thank you, Karen, and good summer evening, everyone. Give you a update on what's happened on the school construction project in the last month here. And so not an elaborate agenda, but we'll give you kind of what's been going on the construction side of things. What are the what's the latest and greatest with what Art Dudley and their subcontractors have been up to. Take a quick, Mr. Lewis can give us a quick update on where we're at with the budget. And so we've got just a quick update on that one with the construction budget and the construction contingency. Couple items that have come up that surfaced in the last month or so here were cracks, some existing slab in the high school, some cracks that were observed, and there's some speculation that construction activity may have increased the size of the gap on those cracks. But we'll just take a quick look at that, and then also there's a little bit of a slope issue near the existing building where they've excavated away, and just we requested the contractor put some slope stability strategy in place, and we'll show you what that is as well, or talk about that quickly, and then just next steps, where we're at and what's coming out at us. And then if there are any questions, we'll certainly entertain all of those. So scream at us at any point. I'll look for hands and whatnot and pause, I guess, if need be. So but otherwise I'll move through here. So with the construction update, and some of these are a couple weeks old now. This was 7/21, but still a lot of earthwork on the upper photo. On the lower photo, we can see actually one of the retaining walls going up, and the retaining walls go up in lifts. And so there's a geo grid that's sort of goes from the face of the retaining wall back into the slope that you're doing to help with the forces on the retaining wall. And so this is a picture of one of the lifts and how far they're going and setting soil down, compacting it, and going up more lifts. So, and you can see the retaining wall right here. In terms of safety, no reported safety issues to date at the site. There are information submittals that the contractor sends to the architects, and so in our specifications for the contractor require them to submit this stuff so that we can ensure that the products that they're putting into the building and the way they're doing it complies with our expectations of what that should be. And so those submittals are being reviewed, and we review the list of submittals on the construction meeting every Monday at the site. There's the big one you can imagine. It's a large building, a large structure, and so the structural steel package is sort of. I think we're just about done catching up on the miscellaneous steel pieces. A lot of questions coordination that come up during that. So they're just it's a big package, and we're like I said, the team has just about done that. Next is a couple images. One, this is pretty exciting, and I'm going to blow it up in the next slide too. But we actually have the first vertical element, if you will, of the building. So this is a stair tower that's being constructed, and there's a hydraulic lift for the masons to install the block. So that's one of the stair towers, and we'll look at it a little more detail here in a second. And then we've got the piping, below the floor piping. The network of all those rough-ins are shown being installed here. So a lot of PVC piping that's getting installed below what will be the slab. You almost kind of understand where the top of the floor is going to be, where all these pipes near an end. The other item that we review on a frequent basis with the contractor at the meetings is RFIs, or requests for information. So if there's a question that the contractor raises and is unsure of something, or she's unsure of something, they'll bring that question forward in the form of a written request for information. So right now there are 4 of them that are open. Some of them require us to go back and do a little sketch sometimes, or just look through to coordinate the information and send it back to them. But none of them are past due at this point. That's good. And with respect to the schedule, again, that schedule is reviewed at the progress meetings. Right now, things look pretty promising. Right now, things are on track here with a lot of the site work. I really, with Crooker, our site contractor, very qualified and has done a great job in moving things forward there. And now we have foundations moving along, and now with the masons starting up on the block work. And so things are moving along nicely with the schedule and progress. And I'll just so this is again, and right now, if someone were to go by the site, it's actually much taller than when this photo was taken. So we've got up to the third floor, so you can get a sense of the 3-story classroom wing, the height of that stair tower over there. So it'll get just surrounded with a bunch of floors in the future, but right now, I'll pause for a second, and if people have any questions, or also Steve Frazier, who's on the call from Harriman doing the construction administration, and also David Lewis, owner's rep, if they've got any thing that they want to add to what's been said.
No, I think you did a good job.
Well, Dave Lewis, you sound a little audio is breaking up, Dave. Steve, I'll let you take over.
Yeah, I think just to reiterate kind of what you said, Mark, the subs on site are performing really well. The concrete, the civil site, so far it's a really good crew.
All right. So moving on to our next, again, a couple more photos for folks to see. This foundation image is on the interior wall of, well, this is the interior side of the wall, if you will, and this is the courtyard looking towards Minot Avenue. And so that foundation wall is moving along nicely. The upper right photo is more foundation work. We got the piers that the columns sit on, the interior piers, and you can see lots more piping all over the place. And then over here, we've got some backfill going on against the foundation. So we got a foundation wall here with the insulation and backfill against it. So again, I'll pause. Dave and Steve want to add anything to that? Dave, we see you back.
I'm back. I hope people can hear me.
Yeah, much better now.
Excellent. No, that's a pretty good synopsis of where we're at. There's a lot of foundation and footing activity going on. And as you noted, the stair tower is quite a bit taller than in those photos. Right now, if you blink on site, things change rapidly. So there's a lot of progress happening.
Guys, as we're looking ahead, and I said this to Dr. Brown the other day, and if you hear that commercial, right, we've got 2 seasons, the season of winter and the season of preparing for winter. So as we're kind of thinking ahead, and we're thinking ahead to sort of our winter conditions, building in those winter conditions, are there any foreseeable things that we can plan for now, or we need to rearrange now to make sure that we get through these winter conditions okay?
Yeah, Karen, that's a good question. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, I think the schedule is to try to get as much of the concrete work done as they can before it gets really cold. But it's very common now to be doing concrete work throughout the winter, even way up north. They heat the ground as necessary. And then the steel will proceed through the winter, and that's not dependent so much on the cold weather. I don't know if Dave or Mark want to add anything.
No, I mean, winter construction in Maine is a reality, and our general contractor has built a lot of schools in Maine, so they know how to prepare for and deal with winter, and obviously everyone will be looking ahead and checking to make sure that we're not running into any issues.
We all acknowledge that it's going to be a very exposed, windy, cold site, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes, it will. It's very windy.
Right. Just thinking about where it is on top of that hill, what type of conditions would stop a crew from, needing to get to work or just keeping us on our timeline.
It's again one aspect that the contractor does contemplate when they put their schedule together and they put their bid in. They roughly can understand when certain sequences are going to happen. One of the things that was important at the time that we were managing the final budget numbers or the contract amount, the contractor was really trying hard to stay on their sequencing, and so we went through that value engineering exercise fairly quickly in order for this to happen, or for them to get a lot of the work in. At the time, they were saying foundations and stair towers is what they're really trying to get at in the classroom wing, and it looks like they're going to comfortably be there, I think, with what they're anticipating. So.
Okay.
Yeah. And currently they're pouring about 130 to 140 yards of concrete a day, which is a pretty impressive amount of concrete.
Okay. All right.
All right. And with that, now that we've got Mr. Lewis in full audio capability, Dave, just a quick snapshot, if you will, of where we're at with expended funds.
Quick snapshot, as you noted, that it was somewhat obsolete by the time I hit send on that. But as of the last pay requisition, contractor has billed a little under 6% of the project. And I know everyone's concerned about contingency and budget analysis, and that's all tracked diligently by several different sets of eyes. And as of the last requisition, the last approved contingency expenses were a little over 3% of the available construction contingency, which is that's a comfortable relationship where the amount of money expended by the general contractor or paid to the general contractor as a percentage is ahead of where we're at with the contingency expenses. So as you can see, there's a lot of money left in the pot. There's a long way to go, but right now things feel very comfortable.
Okay, I appreciate that budget update only because it's probably the number one thing that we get stopped in the grocery store asked about. How much over budget are you already? You've just dug ground. How much over budget are we already? And I can't look a constituent in the eye and say, we're doing great. That just doesn't answer their questions. So I appreciate being able to answer a question to a constituent when they're asking, because they are asking, and we are signing the checks over. So we just need to be able to say, right now we're doing well, and to be able to offer percentage numbers is really an important thing as well. So I appreciate that.
Good. Yeah, and we'll have this updated prior to each meeting, and it's always a work in progress. But right now, this is where we're at.
Okay. Have we had anything jump out at us? Any unexpected? Weren't planning on this. However, we've got it in the contingency. You know what I'm saying? Have we come across in this blasting? Have we come across anything that has just added to the bill that we weren't expecting?
The big item so far has been the electrical service to the building. CMP had given us an estimate early on during the design phase, but they're not obligated to meet that estimate, and that's the one that's pushed the contingency where it is. That was $100,000 somewhere in there, Dave.
Who's responsible? Where
it's a public utility, and it's their cost that they're charging the owner, and you just have to pay it. There's not much anyone can do about it.
I think if Dave were active, it looks like he's frozen again. He would probably agree, but that's right. I think the other ones are sort of aspects of site related. The good news is I think that we're getting pretty close to the pad for the building has come along, and there were a little bit of unforeseens. We had some hazardous material that was buried, some asbestos siding. That wasn't that much that contributed to that. That was a little bit of a surprise. And I'm trying to think of any of the others, Steve, but right now, nothing of any significance in terms of surprise costs.
Okay. Does and Joe, I think I remember holding back or hearing at one point, does the DOE still hold back some of the funding? Isn't it like 4%, 5%? Do they still hold back some of that funding?
Yeah, Karen, the construction contingency amount of 5%, there's a component of that the Department of Education uses, and so that's set aside as budgeted for unforeseen conditions and things that come up during construction. So that 4.9 million, the largest portion of that is the state part of the contingency. There is also a local part of the contingency too, and it's prorated the same amounts or same percentages as the funding of the school construction itself. And so, and I can't remember exactly, it's 80 something and 87 or something and 13 or whatever those percentages are. That's the way that the contingency, but that's what is being used to fund these additional things that come up.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I appreciate your candor and you're watching that bottom line for us.
So the next, I think next items we have are just these two items that popped up that we thought, again, we just kind of fill everyone on. There were some floor cracks, and I'll share a picture of them in a minute here, that were observed in the existing building in the last month here. The cracks are likely existing cracks, and from everything we can see, they aren't new cracks. There's a lot that suggests that they existed there before. We did inquire with because there was some speculation that perhaps blasting may have contributed to these things getting larger or wider, the cracks. And so we did kind of inquire with the blasting company and ask them for substantiation that in defense of their actions. And they're required to do, as part of the specifications, a pre-blast survey. So they're required to go through and evaluate conditions and document those prior to the blasting, and then that gives a benchmark to compare against. And they also evaluate the sort of a measure that's known as the peak particle velocity, and that's not something I'm entirely familiar with, but that sort of, again, looks at the force that sort of is a result of the blasting, and their measurements indicate that it's below industry tolerances. So they don't believe, in their opinion, it's contributed to the cracks getting larger. At this point, again, there's nothing. They're not large enough to cause any significant worry, and so we're going to continue to monitor them and see if anything else further happens. And I'll share, I guess, just pictures, and then I'll kind of pause for a second here. So you can see there, and it's typical for concrete to crack. That concrete does that, and we put joints in concrete so that it will crack in predicted ways. And most of the time, it does crack along those predicted ways. Not always. And so, but so there's oftentimes in buildings there'll be some movement and settlement that creates some of the cracking. The one on the right is a little bit larger than we typically would see over time. But like I said, where the size of the crack is right now, we're not overly worried about it. I'll pause for a second if Dave and Steve have anything additional, or even Scott. I know you I think have been part of the observation of the cracks.
Yeah, I'll just add that when they do the blasting, they record the movement of the earth. So those are the numbers that they've been comparing, and they did provide a several-page letter explaining the process and their opinion on this. And I believe Connie might have sent that out to the group.
All right. Any questions on the cracks? Pam?
Um, so is the blasting going to be over once the new building has the concrete poured in and stuff? Because I'm just wondering if there's going to be blasting being done then and causing cracks in the new building.
So, yeah, Steve, you want to go ahead and take that?
Yeah, Dave, Lewis, and I have already had that conversation with the same thoughts that you're probably having, that it's one thing to have cracks in the old existing building, but we certainly don't want cracks showing up in the new building. So main blasting, obviously, we've already asked. They'll be doing a pre-blast survey of the new building, but it's a question that we've had, that we may want to look at what the owner may want to do to, I guess, document the existing building to make sure the blasting isn't causing any damage there. So it's an ongoing conversation, I guess.
And the conversation of who financially needs to rectify cracks in a brand new building, I think, should be part of that conversation as well.
Yeah, and we want to make sure we document that there aren't any cracks there before they blast, because there will be blasting underneath the existing building once they take that down. Okay. But they've told us that it's going to be a much smaller blast, we'll say. They're going to take it out in smaller pieces. I don't know if you want to add any more to that, Dave.
And structurally, this building, even with the cracks that we're seeing now, the old EL, it's fine. It's not going to cause any more damage or.
Correct. There's no structural concern at this point.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, and the significant blasting that we've all experienced over the last few months is pretty much wrapped up. They're doing some very small blast right now just to pop some ledge that wasn't cracked down deep enough for them to get mostly into this utility trench that they're running out towards Western Avenue.
All right. The next item, just again another area of some concern. You can see where they have excavated against.
Yeah, it's a conversation that it's, as Stephen mentioned, it's an ongoing chat, and it's going to continue.
Dave, I think that's on the blasting. All right, yeah. Dave is back with us, I think.
For now.
Okay.
Mark, this is Connie. Can you tell people what boulder riprap is?
Yeah, we absolutely will. So in pointing out on the image here, you can see where they've excavated against that walkway that's set up. You can see where the chain link fence has been set, and along the edge of the existing gym and the gym lobby. And so pretty sheer face of the slope right there. And so it's the incumbent on the contractor to ensure that we don't have failure of the soil right there, because that again is part of an egress path, and it's awfully close to the foundation. And so we went back to the contractor and inquired of them, what's your strategy for stabilizing that? And they worked with their site subcontractor to come up and put boulders against the side of that. So that's what the riprap is. It's going to be like large rocks that they are putting against the side, and the gravity of those rocks will kind of hold them in place because they're so heavy. They're going to hold in place, and that's going to help kind of almost create a retaining wall, if you will, to help stabilize that edge right there in the soil behind it. So we'll see going forward, we'll see a bunch of boulders against that slope right there.
And yeah, this photo is probably 3 weeks old. Now the foundation of the new building is kind of to the forward side of that pylon in the middle. And they're able to bring the grade up about 4 or 5 feet higher than where it is now. So in the far corner where the gym meets the classroom wing, that's the most susceptible, concerning piece, is the soil in that corner, because it has to stay up at that elevation, and we need to exit both from the gym and from the classroom. So that's the area where they're going to raise the grade at the bottom as high as they can to the finish elevation of the new building, and then build that boulder riprap wall up that slope. To the left where the gym is, they're actually going to lower that elevation down. So they're going to scrape some of that gravel down closer to the top of the ledge, and just basically create a ramp outside. When you exit from the gym, you'll go down that ramp and towards the parking lot.
So is this being done in order to help the existing Edward Little, or is this being done as part of the construction of the new Edward Little?
It's being done because the contractor is responsible to maintain safe exiting from the existing building during construction.
All right.
So could I ask another question? This is Connie. Scott, could you talk for just a little bit about the emergency egress for kids that you have planned, since that's a fire exit right there?
So yeah, there's a pair of double doors from the gymnasium that'll exit screen left down a sidewalk that's going to get sloped. Currently it's paved up there. It's going to get dug down and sloped towards the parking lot where the office trailers are. And on this classroom side, those large riprap rocks will be placed in that corner, and the existing paved sidewalk up there will be retained. The fence will be reinstalled before the kids come. And Billy is aware that he needs to maintain that free of snow through the winter. That's a ongoing conversation with the fire department that Billy's a part of.
Mr. Anir, I think from your perspective, what do you see?
Yeah, so it's just kind of eroded, and eroded sounds harsh, but it's creeped itself, the fence line has creeped itself closer and closer back into that corner, which has made turning on that corner not possible. And it really closed off those doors that are in the corner of the gym, which we brought the fire marshal in to make sure that we were staying in compliance with them in terms of emergency exits from the gymnasium. And that became particularly important if we were talking about a basketball game, or we had a whole student gathering in there. Those become important for us, as well as all of the site needed to maintain emergency egress all the way around the building. Last spring, in preparation for all this, we rerouted all of our evacuation plans, because typically in the past, a portion of the building would evacuate to this side of the building as a staging area where we would take attendance, make sure all were present and accounted for. So from an overall day-to-day operation, we've rerouted an evacuation plan. But in order to stay in compliance with the fire marshal's expectations of having emergency exits, we needed to maintain those doors, which led us back to that conversation of there's just no more landscape there available. So that's why we had to get back with the contractor of, I need like 10 more feet here to get around that corner, as well as we needed that 10 more feet because, as Steve said, we need to maintain snow removal all the way around the building. And that's that happens year round. That happened last year, the year before, like it's an ongoing standard that we have to do for emergency exit needs. So that corner, and as that corner eroded, also the path that follows along the side of the gym has kind of creeped away. And during the summer months, it's really no big deal because the capacity of the building didn't necessitate having those as be emergency exits. But come September 1st, when we have a full school, even though we may not necessarily use those, because it's built into the emergency plan based on the fire marshal, we need to maintain those. And anything less than that changes the capacity of the building. And so that's why we're not changing the capacity of the building. School's going to open. We're going to do school. We got to keep those exits open and available. Does that help?
Scott. Yeah, that was great. Thank you.
And
Yeah, the last thing we need to be shut is for you to be shut down by fire marshals, because as Scott said, these kids are coming back to school. So construction will shut down before these kids are denied access to that building 5 days a week. So keep us in compliance with what the fire marshal needs us to do. There's no wiggle room on that. Zero.
Well, as I stated to them, I'm going to be the nice one to tell you that's not an option. And I'm being the nice one.
Then what are you going to do? Send them our way, Scott? Send them my way. No problem. Yeah, kids are going to school. We will shut it down if we have to.
And there have also been, I'll add, further conversations about the next phase of this project where the new school is up and running and we need to tear down the old building, and how are we going to get kids out of the new building properly. And that's going to work out, and we have a game plan with the contractor for that. So the exits from the new building fall kind of at the far left of the gym photo here and the far right of the school addition. So that's going to be pretty easy to do.
Yeah, these are all things the contractor is aware of, and we're looking ahead and working out the plans with them. So we all understand the importance of kids in school and being able to get out of school.
Good. With that, I'll move to the next topic, which is next steps. So again, these bi-weekly construction meetings continue to occur on the first and third Monday. So, right now we have identified the next building committee meeting on September 14th and 5 p.m. for a site walk. So pretty exciting at that point. So we can actually get onto the site and see the progress that's made. And at that point, again, we'll see a lot more things. As I think Dave Lewis said, you blink and things on site change pretty quickly. But it'll be fun. We can kind of take a floor plan. You can walk and now start to get a sense of the layout of the spaces and the distances and things like that. So it'll be a lot of fun.
Mark, do you need a count for that night for hard hats?
It probably would be helpful. We'll bring a big box of them, but it would be helpful. But between Art Dudley's stack of guest hard hats and ours,
Art doesn't have any. Art doesn't have any.
That doesn't exist.
I'm not sure what that part is, but he's got a good sized contractor that you think he could afford a few good hard hats. But anyway, yes, Connie, if you could get a count, that'd be great. We'll make sure we have enough.
Okay, what about safety vests? Do people need those?
I think at that point, the construction crews will be demobilized for the day at 5 p.m. And so I think we'll be safe. So it's still going to be very light out. And I think Dave, I don't know if you have a different opinion about that or not.
No. I was going to say I don't. Vests won't be required. Sensible shoes will be. No flip flops. No Crocs unless they're steel toed. Just because there are rocks and dirt and stuff. I think Ken Clark, is planning on joining us from Art Dudley, so he'll guide people in the right direction.
And that's kind of what we got planned for our presentation tonight. So it'll be exciting to really be there and witness it next meeting. So
thank you so much.
It's amazing to think that we'll already be underway with the school year, right?
It's going to be here before we know it. So thank you all. I always appreciate you being willing to answer some questions that pop up here and there, or that I might have, or that anyone on the committee might have. So I appreciate you taking the time to do that.
I have one question before we go. Can we, I really liked the percentage and the, a part of the budget that we're looking at. Is it possible to add that as a dashboard to the new ELHS site and have it updated every month, or, however often you do it? It doesn't have to be, but it's just nice to have that public facing part to show like how far we are in the project, as well as, how far the money's been drawn down and stuff like that. If that's a possibility, that'd be a nice part to show.
And I think we can direct constituents there as well if they're asking.
Right.
Adam, that's something that we can put up, right? We have the website. You populate that with photos and things.
Yeah, I'll have Peter talk to Sharon and figure out how to do that. And that's not a problem, Tim. We can do that every month once
Yep.
we get that up there.
Yep.
That'd be
Great.
perfect to help ship it to people. Yeah.
Yep, great
Yep.
suggestion, Tim. Thank you so much. So
It's
I
an easy
appreciate-
spreadsheet to update.
Yeah, thank you. Great. So I think with that, if there's nothing else, the meeting will continue for those who are staying on with Pam Hart to discuss some fundraising movements that have been going on behind the scenes. So with that, if you are a part of this meeting and not part of the fundraising meeting, then we bid you farewell and have a great night. Thank you so much for attending tonight's meeting. And those who are
All right,
staying on for fundraising, stay on. Pam's going to take over.
Thank you. Take care, everybody.
Thank you. I'm signing off. Goodbye, everyone.
Hey, Karen.
Bye, Karen.
Oh, don't leave, Adam. I got questions for you.
All right, Tim, I'll stick around.